Hey darlings. Despite the fact that the regular bus was scheduled to arrive no later than an hour, or even an hour and a half, if it suddenly got stuck in one of the eternal problems, a talkative company had already begun to gather at the village stop. The conversation began with a discussion about the weather. This is necessary. Before lunch the sun is hot, and by noon it has been raining for several days. So much so that the garden only dries out in the morning. I left yesterday. I wanted to pull out the onions, but I came home. It was too damp. I thought it would dry out at lunchtime, but at noon I had the same parsley. The whole garden will be covered in grass, complained a woman of about 70 who wore galoshes on her bare feet. Exactly, Anna. The grass will grow up to your waist before it dries, repeated the interlocutor, a little younger, and added, yawning. But the kiddies will have plenty of freedom. The third lady, looking dreamily into the distance, expressed her plans. Anything. But the weather will stay like this for a few more days, and you can look for slips. Well, today my grandson is supposed to come. Tomorrow we will run with him to the pines. Maybe we'll add a little to the pan and then, if the layer looks good, we can marinate it. A woman wearing a wide-brimmed hat and a stylish linen dress, a little further away, got excited about the sentence and asked, "Sorry, I involuntarily overheard your conversation, and if it's not difficult, I ask you to at least show me where it is best to go for mushrooms here." "So there, my dear, do you see the forest? That's where we run," replied the lover of silent hunting affably. Anna was surprised. "And what, Maria? Are you also interested in mushrooms?" It seems that city dwellers rarely allow themselves to be put off by this. Give them all store-bought mushrooms, which have no smell or taste. Yes, actually, not just for my own good. Today, on the morning bus, my daughter promised to send me rubber boots and other clothes for Deniska. And then they also thought about it. They sent the child to the dacha in sneakers and even without a jacket. If he has the right clothes, I would like to take him out to combine business with pleasure. Plus, you really want real mushrooms, not dung champignons from the store. More and more people gradually joined the women's conversation. Everyone had their own reason for going into town or taking a bus. Someone immediately announced where they were going and why. Someone simply said hello and sat down on a bench, causing bouts of acute curiosity in the village's chief gossip, Anna. "Andre, where did you point your skis?" she asked an elderly man leaning on a cane who was approaching the bus stop. "In the city." "Where else?" the man growled angrily. "Didn't I crawl to the bus stop to look at you?" "Oh, on business in the city or just for fun?" The restless Anna continued to ask, but the man did not consider it necessary to give any explanation to his fellow villager. The bus that appeared interrupted all conversations. The usual agitation began, which only ceased after he returned to the city. The early July sun, barely rising over the horizon, warmed gently and affectionately, and the group of women headed to the store, which was already open. However, no one was in a hurry to enter. It is best to wait in the open air until fresh bread is brought from a neighboring village. Blessed are the moments of rest when there is no need to rush anywhere. After all, the time of preparations will begin, so there will be no time for idle conversations. But for now, it would be a sin not to take advantage of the temporary calm. Maria, who had taken a large bag with things for her grandson from the driver, was in no hurry to go to her summer residence, as she called the very sturdy house she had bought in the winter. You can't wake Deniska up before noon, and you can't use a cannon. After settling down on a bench near the store, the woman asked the local information office, "Tell me, can someone here fix the iron? Otherwise mine is broken. It doesn't heat up anything." The main gossip immediately responded, "So Andrei Alexeyevich is a jack of all trades. Only he, you saw for yourself, went to the city. However, he will probably be back in the evening. So you go to him. He has a house at the end of the main street, if you go towards the water pump. You can't go wrong. The trim is painted blue. Alexei rarely manages to fix anything, unless he uses all types of iPhones. The rest can be resolved in a minute or two. Another indigenous villager added, Andre does everything with us conscientiously. True, you will have to pay for the work. He doesn't consider the bottle as payment. Maybe he can take some supplies. It's like an exchange. For example, he fixed the separator for me, and I gave him a half-liter jar of ghee and milk for free for a month, twice a week. And when the yogurt maker broke, I did this. By the way, Mashinka, stop by in the evening. The fermented milk will be ready right now. You can spoil Dennis and buy him some fresh milk. While my granddaughter is outdoors, she needs to stock up on vitamins for future use. Anna interrupted her friend, returning the conversation to the master's topic. Andre has golden hands. You can't take that away, and he does not refuse anyone's help, but lives like a real Kirkle. You can't ask him for snow in winter. And don't tell me, Anya, the mushroom-picking fan supported her. Where does the money go? After all, he's been wearing the same clothes and shoes for decades. He doesn't even buy bread in the store, but makes it himself. It's cheaper and more natural. Oh, petty. But in this world there are no pockets. He probably doesn't even know where he's saving. Now tell me, who's going to get it all? The cow owner laughed. I know who. Probably he will write everything to his granddaughter Nastia. She visits him alone. My daughter is still mortally offended by Andre. A pie cart arrived from a neighboring village, bringing fresh bread from a mini bakery, and a group of women who had been shopping scattered around the village. Anna and Maria headed in the same direction, and the main gossip continued to tell Andre's story. He had such a wife, just a miracle. Lucinka Sokolova, my former colleague. Oh, Linda, when I was young, the braid was, by God, I'm not lying, as thick as my arm. And what a voice she had. Clear, clear. Well, just like Ida Vedishcheva. Many guys had a crush on Lucy, but she chose this Andre. He came to our collective farm when the farm was being built. What are you talking about? We had a very advanced economy. They have always been among the leaders in the region. Well, Andre worked as an electrician. By marrying Lucy, he stayed with us. They were an exemplary family at first glance. My husband doesn't drink. Lucy is a housewife, not a weed blade in the garden. Verachka is beautiful and smart. I studied with top marks. Only Andriushka did not spoil either his wife or his daughter. He held them tightly. Ludmila stopped singing in public soon after her wedding. Well, Andre didn't hit her, but he slowly drank her to death. She was afraid of saying too many words to someone. Same with us, former friends. Say hello and run home. She gave birth to a daughter for this quiet monster, Verachka. They dressed poorly, even when the collective farm prospered. For a long time, Andre did not buy any treats for his girls. In the 90s, when everything began to fall apart, Luzia spun like a snake to feed her family. She ran to the market in the regional center, selling everything that grew in the garden and collected in the forests and fields. Faith helped her, and in the midst of all this turmoil, they somehow didn't notice that Lucy had begun to waste away. The women had already arrived at Maria's house a long time ago, but the dacha resident got involved in a fascinating story, and Anna was glad that they listened to her attentively. In general, when Verachka raised the alarm and almost forcibly sent her mother to the city clinic, it turned out that it was too late to be treated with pills. An operation was needed. Lucy herself told me that the amount announced by the doctor was not terrible, but still impressive. But that wasn't what was scary. Lucy's chances were slim, even with the operation, and Andre didn't give her any money, even though he had it. He refused to help immediately. Vera was lying at her father's feet, asking him to at least try to save her mother. It didn't. Lucy caught fire during the May holidays. Vera was finishing school and, needless to say, she had no time to study. They took her grades, of course. The girl is good. They didn't offend her. Shortly after her mother's 40th birthday, Vera stood up and said in front of everyone present that from that day on her father did not exist for her. We all gasped. Calm but courageous. Andre didn't even blink. Vera helped set the table, and that same night left for the city on a bus that crossed the country. His life was normal. My daughter sometimes sees her in town. They communicate briefly. Vera married a simple worker. She gave birth to her daughter Nastia. She is already, to be honest, 20 years old. And they still all live together in the family bedroom. Verachka and her husband don't even show their noses here at the village. But Nastasia has been coming to her grandfather for several years. She is so generous. Yes, anything can happen. Maria spoke slowly and, noticing her grandson walking in the yard behind the fence, hurried to say goodbye to the gossiper. While other villagers washed Andrei's bones, he lined up at the clinic and seemed to know in advance that nothing good would be said to him. He had long felt that his strength was leaving him, and he even noticed physical changes. And he no longer walked with a light gait and was losing weight so quickly that every week he had to tighten his belt in a new hole. The old man managed to listen almost indifferently to the doctor who announced the diagnosis in the form of a sentence. Surgical treatment is no longer prescribed at your age. Either way, you'll have to do chemotherapy and then we'll see. For the first appointment, you need to prepare new tests and also have an MRI. The next coupon will be in 3 weeks, but I wouldn't delay. Maybe there is an opportunity to rent it for a fee? It is clear that nothing is clear. You don't walk around anymore. Tell me frankly, doctor, how much time do I have left? I want to put things in order more or less. The oncologist reported. I think you have 6 months. Besides, I wouldn't despair. Miracles happen in life, you know? Andre shook his head and said goodbye. After leaving the clinic, he walked to the nearest bench and stopped, leaning on a cane that his granddaughter had bought and brought for him. The sun was already burning mercilessly. Of course, he can't sunbathe now, but if it's still the last summer, then what's the point of being careful? Even before the diagnosis was announced, Andre decided not to fight the disease that was devouring him. It seems that fate decided everything fairly. He was surprised by retribution for denying his wife money for treatment. Maybe Lucy would have had a chance to get out. Who knows now? How to do everything right. Andre felt bitter, bad and sad. The man mentally praised himself for having thought to take the documents home and go to the registry office. However, after searching for the nearest office, Andre changed his mind about going there. The notary seemed very young and somewhat frivolous. The little boy probably doesn't even have experience, thought the man, and began to study the information desk at reception. After writing down the addresses of other registry offices on the back of his medical records, Andre went looking for a specialist who inspired him with confidence. Only in 3rd place did the old man get lucky. Yuri Pavlovich Skobinsky seemed to him an ideal notary. Middle age, with a little gray at the temples. More importantly, at the urgent request of the elderly visitor, he agreed to talk privately, even removing the secretary from the reception room. So, Andrei Alexeyevich, I am paying close attention. What would you like from me? Yuri Pavlovich, I will speak as if in spirit. I don't have long to live. Most likely, I will celebrate the new year and stand before God's judgment. I want to get rid of my property, but with some nuances. Among the heirs I have a daughter, but she and I have been fighting for many years. That's why I want to make a will for a house and land for my granddaughter. Andrei Alexeyevich, the fact is that according to the law, if your daughter is disabled, part of the property will still be owed to her. The old man waved his hand irritably. Yuri Pavlovich, am I against it? Let my daughter have what she deserves. Even, if possible, write that she can live in the house immediately without waiting 6 months after my death. The only thing is that I don't want to give just the house and land to my granddaughter Nastia. I still have some savings, but I have strong doubts that she will be able to manage them correctly. She's only 20 years old. She's just a child. I'm afraid she'll let it all go down the drain. But she has good inclinations, and I think that when she gets married and has a child, all her priorities will be set correctly. After that, I think she will be able to pass the unexpected money test with dignity and use it wisely. You can, at the moment when Nastia comes to formalize the inheritance, give her a letter from me. In it, I will indicate the conditions under which she will be able to receive my savings. Is this option possible? In principle, Andrei Alexeyevich, if your conditions are not illegal, then nothing is impossible. Let's make a will with a task. What do you want from your granddaughter? Nastia must find a groom and get married within a year. After that, she and her husband will have 2 years to become parents. If Nastia is unsuccessful, my savings will have to be transferred to a charitable fund to support cancer patients. The notary nodded. We will do everything as you want, Andrei Alexeyevich. Would you like tea or coffee? I need time while I prepare a will for the house and land and documents for your specific request. Thank you, Yuri Pavlovich, but you'd better give me a piece of paper and a pen. I will write a letter to Nastia indicating how to find my savings. After finishing business with the notary, Andrei discovered that there were still several hours before the bus left for the village. He really wanted to go to his daughter. He discovered the address a long time ago. However, from the look on his granddaughter's face, who always seemed withdrawn when talking about her mother, the man understood that Vera still held a strong grudge against him. It's good that Nastia, despite the long-standing family quarrel, communicates with him. You can, of course, call her right now. She probably won't refuse to meet. But there's no point in telling him bad news now and ruining his mood. She herself promised to visit him at the weekend. Then, perhaps, he will confess his desperate situation to her. However, Andrei was almost sure that he would not bother his granddaughter. She is the only living soul who pities him. Why bother her? Tired from an excessively busy day, Andrei walked slowly to the bus station. It seemed that the air was heating up to the limit, and the man barely had time to hide in the shadow of the building to avoid losing consciousness. The road to the village was also not very comfortable. While even the asphalt melted in the city, it rained heavily in nature. When the driver stopped the bus and residents ran to their homes, Andrei was completely exhausted. The man didn't even bother to eat dinner and, putting the documents on the closet shelf along with other important papers, fell exhausted on the bed. Half forgotten, he heard someone knocking on the door, but he couldn't even get up and find out what was happening. Maria, who knew from the omnipresent Anna that the village owner had returned home, became worried because he was not responding. As a result, a whole delegation came to Andrei to make sure that everything was fine with him. The old man who woke up when he saw a boy climbing through the window did not mince words, and Deniska could barely explain that his excited grandmother asked him to do a daring act. When everything became clear, the owner of the house took the defective iron from Maria and grumbled under his breath. What will you do without me? At the weekend, Andrei came to his senses a little and greeted his arriving granddaughter with great joy. Nastia worried about tidying up the house and the cultivated area in the garden, and during lunch she just laughed at her grandfather's words that it was time for her to get married and have children. Oh, how old am I? I will still have time to do everything. Besides, I have absolutely no one to marry. Almost only girls study at our pedagogical institute, and I have no interest in going to all kinds of clubs. Look, Nastia, warned Andrei. Young man, it goes quickly. And before you can blink, all the worthy gentlemen will be taken away. Don't worry, Grandpa. As soon as I fall in love and understand that the only one is next to me, I will not postpone the wedding. Well, if so. After spending the entire weekend with her grandfather, the girl prepared to return to the city, explaining that she was helping at the school's children's camp. Andrei, who did not dare to tell his granddaughter about his deadly illness, in the will he left in a letter, asked, Say hello to Mom in the invitation. Let her come visit me." Nastia conveyed her grandfather's request to her mother, but Vera flatly refused to go to her father. "Listen, daughter, I have a lot of worries without him. You know your father is recovering from an injury and needs my help. Therefore, I will take care of the man who, as I have told you repeatedly, has replaced my entire family. And my father, have no doubt, will do very well without me. He's selfish to the core, so he certainly won't suffer if I don't go." Vera was wrong. Andre suffered terribly. Either he was shaken during a trip to the city, or the disease simply began to develop with lightning speed. The man began to feel terrible pain. On Thursday, he couldn't even move, and on Friday Nastia entered the house and discovered that her grandfather was not reacting to anything. The ambulance workers who arrived said they had no power to do anything and most likely would not help at the hospital either. The man was unconscious for just one day and then silently surrendered his soul to God without regaining consciousness. Vera, who learned from her daughter that her father had fallen into a coma, rushed to her native village, but did not find her father alive. Holding his cold hand, the woman cried, asked for forgiveness, and whispered that she forgave him, hoping that her words would somehow become known to him. With the help of the tireless Anna, Nastia organized a sad farewell ceremony for her grandfather. While looking for clothes, the granddaughter discovered the will and turned to her mother. "To look, Grandfather Andre took care of all of us." Vera and Nastia, hugging each other, cried in the empty house, but there was no way to return the late owner. When mother and daughter arrived at Skobinsky, the lawyer immediately realized during the conversation that they knew absolutely nothing about the second part of the deceased's will, where the greedy old man hid the money for them. This was a chance to get rich literally, out of nowhere, and the cunning Yuri Pavlovich decided to remain silent. That's enough for them, and what is owed to them now is the house and the land. They will also get along well with this, thought the notary, pretending to be supportive and benevolent, explaining to visitors the nuances of entering into an inheritance. "Anastasia Vladimirovna, Vera Andreevna, you can refuse one in favor of the other. This will help you save a little on filling out all the documents." Vera immediately decided that her daughter would become the sole heir. Taking advantage of her vacation, Nastia helped her parents move from the hostel to a village house, as this seemed to be the ideal option to restore her father's health. Yuri Pavlovich, intrigued by the likely wealth of a very young girl, opened the envelope with the cash map and decided that its contents would be a worthy additional commission for his pocket. But for that it was necessary to enter the house. Of course, organizing a blatant robbery is the worst option. In the village, a stranger will immediately be noticed, and if there are several, even more so. After carefully weighing the pros and cons, Skobinsky came up with a clever adventure. One day, Nastia, returning from school, found herself in an unpleasant situation. In a dark park, two drunk guys tried to attack her, and a handsome man with a dog saved her from big trouble. He scared the hooligans and then suggested, "Come on, I'll take you with you. More precisely, Archie and I will guide you." Nastia, who always dreamed of a dog, believed that bad people don't have pets and agreed without hesitation. The man, who introduced himself as Kirill, entertained the girl with conversations. "You know, we usually go hiking in a different place, and I'm really glad Archie deviated from his usual route today." The savior, and especially his dog, easily charmed Nastia, and she agreed to dictate her phone number to Kirill. A turbulent romance began between casual acquaintances, and the girl was sure that she had met the person she wanted to be with forever. The man met her after class in a luxurious car. On weekends, I took him to the village to visit my parents. One day, just a month after they met, he fully declared his serious intentions. "I really like your daughter, Vladimir Sergeyevich and Vera Andreevna. I ask you for your daughter's hand in marriage. I understand that such a rapid development of relationships can scare you, But I, as a not poor person, value time almost above all, after love, of course. I have no doubt that I will be able to make Nastia happy. Vera even cried with joy. Nastia was embarrassed and incredibly happy when Kirill, kneeling down, handed her the ring. She could only dream of such a magical moment, like in a movie. The groom did not insist on living together before the wedding, and the girl believed that this was another proof of love and respect. How could Nastia know that her acquaintance with Kirill was just part of the cunning notary's plan? Arriving from the village to his modest apartment in the city, the man called. Yurak, well, you gave me a problem. The hiding place where I must penetrate is under the bed where that hen's sick father is lying. He practically doesn't walk and stays there all day. What do you tell me to do? Drug them all with sleeping pills and do the job while they're passed out. Sure, I can get this pig out of bed, but what happens to him? Cyril, act together. Invent something different. Maybe you can buy a ticket to the sanatorium? Under the pretext that the father-in-law would undergo treatment and attend his daughter's wedding. Yurka, what are you doing? What kind of sure? I've already spent a good amount of money here, and this idiot is also asking about the dog, and I've already returned this dog full of fleas to my friend. In fact, you are richer than me. You work as a notary, but you give me a few cents for expenses. Then we need to act faster and not chew snot. Well, you easily charm women. You discover how to organize everything. Stop following my ideas. Okay, we still have time, and we also have an idea. The fake groom promised Nastin and ended the conversation. Kirill easily played the role of lover, but was furious that his cousin assigned him so many responsibilities. He himself sits in his office and appears to be clean, but he does all the dirty work, lies and steals. Nastia, helping her mother clean up, went up to the attic, where she found a notebook, which turned out to be her grandfather's diary. What she read shocked the girl. Apparently, Andrei was on his conscience not only for the life of his wife, but also for the death of the man with whom he wanted to open a common business on the basis of a bankrupt state farm in a nearby village. Nikita Kotov was listed as an economist there and, through cunning machinations, became enormously rich. To avoid devaluation during the difficult years of perestroika, he purchased jewelry indirectly and created a project for a company producing meat products. He had a close friend, Andrei Alexeyevich, the same village craftsman. Nikita trusted him as if he were himself and believed him when he heard from a friend that all the money was stolen by bandits. It was a terrible blow. Unable to cope, Nikita took her own life. The last lines of the diary surprised Nastia. Everything that belonged to Nikita is in the hiding place below me. I can't use it. My conscience doesn't allow it. The excited girl guessed where to look for what had been hidden for many years. With her mother's help, she helped her father sit on a chair and reached the hiding place. Inside the tin box were banknotes issued in the late 90s and still in circulation, as well as jewelry. Nastia, what is this? Vera was surprised. The girl handed over the diary. Here, read it. I'm even embarrassed to say that. Vera read her father's diary with her husband and suggested, I think we should try to return all this to this Kotov's relatives. Do you agree? The husband and daughter supported Vera, and Nastia promised. I'll call Kirill now. Maybe he can tell you how to find these people quickly. Nastia's call infuriated Kirill. That's just stupidity. Why give it all away? Initially, as I understand it, this capital was earned dishonestly. Kirill, don't you understand? A man gave his life for this money and trinkets. I put my relatives at risk. They must have suffered. You are weird. And his parents are completely dejected. You just have to give it your all. I didn't have time to get to the cash first. The guy stopped, but the word is not sparrow. Nastia was shocked. Wait a minute. So you knew everything about the hiding place? Where? Yes, you. Kirill blurted out and, pressing the end, blocked his now ex-fiancé's number. Nastia was depressed by the betrayal of her loved one, with whom she dreamed of living together and building a strong family.